everyone to another Getting Stuff Painted, my bi-weekly give or take update on the miniatures that have been getting painted for the various games we play here on the channel. This week including one that's very hard to get in frame because he's so tall without also getting like some of the boxes and things at the far side of the table here in view. So I'm doing my best, but we'll move it forwards when it's time to look at him. But yeah, this week, it doesn't feel that long since I've recorded one of these. I feel like I've been putting the nose to the grindstone, getting lots of stuff painted, and on that note, we have a little bit of Blackstone Fortress, we have a little bit of Marvel Crisis Protocol, we have a lot of Bot War, including the large lad at the back, we have the remainder of one Blood Bowl team and the start of another, and then we also have a little bit of Monsterpocalypse, which I hadn't forgotten about, just other things took priority. So as always, we'll start at the left and work our way right, starting with the last of the X-Men / Brotherhood of Mutants releases for Marvel Crisis Protocol from last month. He's already been in a couple of battle reports which you've seen by now, but to talk about how we painted Magneto and his metal constructs, we'll officially show him off here. Let's get him up close. So that is Blood Angel's red for the red parts of his armour, Shielish purple, and a Nuln Oil wash to pick out the muscle line details, Gloom Flesh for his face. And for all the metal that you're going to see for his constructs as well, Lead Belcher Silver with Agrax or shade over it to give it that kind of rusty look. Basilicanum Grey for the stone and the base, which is not in focus as I try and turn and show you. I used the bits you're supposed to, well, you have the option of putting them on Toad's base, so he has metal on them. I chose to put them on Magneto so it looked like he was controlling more metal, like he was pulling it out of the piping out of the floor, because Toad doesn't need that on his base. And he is nice and sturdy stuck there, unlike Storm. Like, you can't, I guess you can shake him a little bit, but he's not wobbling. He's slotted into the girder here, the thick part. This part here, I wasn't sure how to connect it. The instructions are not clear. I opted to just use it as another kind of like structure point, so it's touching his foot just to hold him in place as well. And I think it worked out well. His two metal constructs are just a bunch of metal garbage hanging around as a pillar. So this one's got like a half a lamp, traffic light and a car door. Same colours I've been using, Ultramarines blue and Yandan yellow with the red amber green, and then a wash over the top. I think Agrax and Nuln Oil from memory for both these. Again, just to give them that kind of grimy look. This one is some more metal girders, a barrel, a safe, I think. I'm not sure what this bit is. It's like a carburetor or something. It looks like the under part of a car, like maybe the exhaust, I guess, plus the pipe that connects to the exhaust. I don't know cars. So yeah, it's Magneto collecting metal parts from around the joint and chucking them at people for lots of damage. So this is not a Blackstone Fortress miniature, but I am going to be using him as a Blackstone Fortress miniature because I was able to pick up unopened all the cardboard for the Traitor Command expansion for Blackstone Fortress for cheap compared to how much everyone else wants for it. But it didn't come with the miniatures. So you need a Traitor Commissar rather, and you need a Chaos Ogre, or an Ogre that's fallen to the whispers and temptations of chaos. So I decided to make my own. This is a metal, I hope you can tell by how weighty it looks. This is an old metal Commissar that Games Workshop still sells on demand, only on the website for like £10. Perfect setup because he's got a power fist, he's reading a book, and even like if you go look at the official paint job for this, they gave him like red eyes, so he already looks evil. So it was perfect, right scale, correct gear, and he's reading an evil book that's smeared with red blood. So I thought, perfect. I've also kit bashed a Chaos Ogre that you'll see at some point, probably in the next update because I need it done, because I want to incorporate the Traitor Command into the ongoing Blackstone Fortress campaign that we have going. So next, including him at the back, we have the rest of the not Constructicons. I believe they're called the Builders. I showed off 2 of them last week, these are the other 3, and then they combine to form not Devastator. I think his name is Destroyer. So I couldn't tell you these individuals' names. I couldn't tell you the names of the individual Constructicons either, for the record. But I went over how to paint these last time, or how I painted these. It's Warp Lightning, Nuln Oil to give that robotic look with the Dark Shadow, and where relevant, Lead Belcher, and also Black Templar. And then it's just, I paint the bases brown, and then PVC glue, sand on, and then just attach the tufts while it's still wet as well. Nothing fancy, but the effect is good. and it's the aesthetic I'm looking for. Again, not the ideal shade of green, but the Constructicons shade of green was never super consistent. And the other thing actually to note about the Constructicons and Devastator is that Devastator's size was never consistent. Like if you played, I think it was called Transformers Devastation, the Platinum Games video game from like 2 years ago. It's very good, very short, but very good. And it perfectly recreated the aesthetic. This is the core combiner, the one they all attach to. It perfectly recreated the aesthetic of the G1 cartoon, and Devastator's in that as like the first boss, and he's the size of a skyscraper. Which at the time I said, that's ridiculous. And then I remembered, in the cartoon, his height was never really like consistent. It was an 80s cartoon, so what do you expect? But for comparison's sake, look at the size of that, and then we come over here, and then here we have Devastator, not Devastator, and look at the size of that, it's the same part. But the scale is off, and I have a theory about that. It's either because it was never consistent, which I don't think is that likely, or because this base is a pre-existing size. They decided that it was better that he fit the base properly, like he's perfectly scaled for the base he is on, rather than worry about him being scaled to the things that create him, or just to make him look more awesome. That could be a suggestion as well. But it bothers me slightly that the combined size of the 5 minis is much smaller than this. You'd want to cut off like a quarter, maybe even a third of the scale, and then it would be spot on for me. It's a niggling detail for what is otherwise an awesome miniature. I kind of accidentally made him look like Scorponok's colour scheme, now that I'm just staring at it. Shiler's Purple, Warp Lightning, wash over everything. Black Templar, Lead Belcher, all the same colours I used for the small ones, just applied to a slightly bigger scale. I had a little bit of a problem with the contrast sticking to this, and I used a spray paint, Grey Sear, to apply the base coat, and it didn't apply right. I'm not sure, maybe my can is almost running out, so maybe it's that, but either way, a little overly grimy at the back perhaps, but pretty awesome looking at the front, and we'll hopefully be seeing, not Devastator, in another trial run Bot War battle report that I'll be recording soon-ish, TM. We have everything needed, like with Mega Tyrant last week and the other constructors. I think we can do a Valiants versus Deceivers, Autobots versus Decepticons, in other words, and this gentleman should be making his presence felt. So next, as stated, we have the final 4 of the Recklin Reavers, the Human Blood Bowl team from the old starter box. I have to say that now because there's a new one out that you've hopefully already seen the unboxing of. If not mine, one of the billion of other people who did one. So these are the last 2 linemen. And then we also have the 2 throwers. Exactly the same colour scheme I've been talking about for 2 of these in a row now, so I'm not going to bother repeating myself. Just showing them off that they are done, so that is 1 completed team. And as a result, I could move on. Now, I did actually start this other team prior to the 2020 starter set arriving, so that kind of threw a spanner in the works for my plans to paint the orcs, the black orcs, from the new starter set. Because I was like, yeah, I could wait till the starter set's here, and then just hope that it doesn't take me too long to get another team painted. Or I could start painting another team that I'm interested in and have had sitting for a while in secret, and then hopefully be well along the way. And as a result, we'll go to Monsterpocalypse last. I have been painting some of Nergo's Rotters, the Nergo themed Blood Bowl team. That's 4 of them, so that's exactly a third of them done. 2 Rotters and 2 Blowers. The full roster, I think, in the box is 6 Rotters, 4 Blowers, and 2 Pestigores. I love these. I previewed this on Twitter. I love that they just smile and wave. They're so happy. I am jealous of the happiness experienced by those suffering Nergo's blessings. So I use Plaguebearer Flesh for the Rotters, Gryph-hound Orange for all the orange you can see on all of them, some Flesh Tear Pink, no, what's it called, Vulpus Pink for the tentacles, some Nergo's Rot for the slime, some Snakebite Leather for the leather straps, and some Lead Belcher for the highlighting. Also, I'm running with the theme that any of the Nergo Rotters who have room to have a number are all going to be number 7, and I'm sure that's not going to be confusing when it comes to making a team roster. We'll see. I'm willing to do it for the joke. Exactly the same colour scheme. Oh, I also used just like a normal Citadel yellow to pick out the bright yellow after everything was done, like the washes bringing the tone down. just use a normal paint on top to bring stuff back up, like the boils filled with pus ready to pop. That may be one of the most disgusting sentences I've ever uttered. So these are two of the bloaters, large lads. I painted these a bit closer to their actual colours on the box. Like the rotters aren't meant to be kind of plague, they're not meant to be plague bearers. They're humans who have Nergo's rot, but I wanted to make them look like zombie-ish. The rotters on the bloaters, sorry, on the other hand, I like the idea of them just having like human skin tone, because it makes them look so much more disgusting and therefore better. And he's got these lovely like purple bruising where his skin's ripped open and he's got eyes. I love this model. It's fantastic. All the bloaters, like these are the two that have the same pose, and then the other two that come in the box have a different pose where it looks like they're just running at you, which must be one of the most terrifying things to see on the pitch that you could ever possibly imagine. Like they're just kind of grabbing at you, but the one that's running at you full speed, that'd scare you. Also, yes, their buttocks are visible. That's too hot for YouTube on the back there, so I'm not focusing on it too much. So next time we'll hopefully see a lot more of the Nergo's rotters done as well. I don't think it'll be the full team by then, but we'll at least be on our way towards getting them done, and then we can do a test battle of the Reckland Reavers, like a pre-season exhibition match between the Reckland Reavers and the Nergo's rotters. So to end on, I'm going to have trouble remembering this lad's name. The other starter set for Monsterpocalypse Big Monster, I think it's Gorgadra or Gorgatron, something like that. I don't know. Either way, I've had him sitting based for ages just waiting for paint, so I was like, just get it done. Unfortunately, I still can't play Monsterpocalypse. Got to get this guy's minions, the minion mobs, made. But he was fun. I used a mixture of Fire Slayer flesh, the one skin tone for contrast I never remember the name of, and a mixture of the, not the Guilliman flesh, the other one, Dracoth flesh as well to mix for the lighter parts, and just Nazrag yellow for all the gold, and then Warp Lightning for his kind of like, I don't know, the energy inside him, so it's all the glowing like inside his hands, inside his head, in his like engines, I'm not sure. So he is to oppose the other miniature we showed off like 3 videos ago, the giant robot with the rocket fists. That's the 2 starters, and of course they come with clear bases for Monsterpocalypse because that's the way the game works. So there's 5 minis left to paint for Monsterpocalypse after this guy is done. Just his 5 minions, it's 5 little aliens that do his bidding on the map, and then we can do a test battle report of that as well and see how people feel about it. So yeah, 1 large-ish and 1 very large miniature done this week. I'm happy with the progress I've been making. That's the nice side to not having anything else to do during lockdown, etc. is you can get to focus on your piles of grey shame and get them painted on the table. And on that note, if you want to show me anything you've been painting for any miniature game, even if it's one I don't particularly play myself, feel free to tweet a picture at me at GamerEND on Twitter. Always like seeing other people's paint jobs on minis. And yeah, next time, more Blood Bowl for sure, more Blackstone Fortress, technically. Like, it's not an official miniature, it's something I kit bashed, but looking forward to showing off. It turned out well, in my opinion, prior to painting. I raided my old Chaos Bits box from like 10 years ago and was like, yeah, I can bung that on an Ogre to make it look chaotic. That'll work. So I look forward to showing that off, and not sure what else. There's a lot of stuff to choose from. The pile of grey shame, despite how many miniatures I get painted in these videos, continues to grow. And on that note, that horrifying note, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in 2 weeks or just under for another painting update. Thanks for watching. Ta-ta for now.